At some point, we are going to have to do a whole show about how good this show sounds.
Everybody, welcome to Downballot, the flagship podcast of Echoplex Media for 2024, at least until the next day when Downballot or when Intellectual Dollar Tree comes out. We do the show live every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. I am in some kind of way and out of sorts because I had to rush home from something and rush into the house and get ready for the show. So I am not in the headspace to podcast quite yet. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, I'm producer Dave, and you can find me on Grindr, as many have.
Including me once. It was very interesting and kind of awkward. I was just looking for a producer for my show. Anyway, this is the Councilman, as always, here with producer Dave. You can find me on X, aka Twitter, aka Elon Musk's Fantasyland, at THE_Councilman. I'm staying there because I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to let him shoo me away. I'm not going to let all that just detract me from all the great things that Twitter still has to offer. And if you really want to find me, though, physically, I'm going to be up in that gender neutral aisle at Target in the toy section looking for goodies for the bad baby. So keep an eye out for me there as well. And I go to the self-checkout, even though, it's perfectly cool to go to the regular register, but Target just makes it too easy now. They almost force you into the self-checkout now. So don't feel guilty about going to the self-checkout, people. That's all I'm saying.
I saw a meme that was like grocery bill, and then it was like, with self-checkout, I could get that down to, $55 or something.
Amazing. Yes, because the checkout person has so much control over what you're purchasing.
Well, I think that there's a different implication there.
Yeah, right. Oh, true. That's right. So I'm actually paying attention to what I'm doing.
We've been off here for 2 weeks, which is amazing.
We have. And the good news is, I suppose, that there wasn't like a great deluge of local derp and political and, public policy and just other kinds of news. But the good news is that we were able to focus on, certain stories and really bring to light some stories that you wouldn't normally see or hear on Downballot. So this is a little treat to begin the year for you all. We're going to get into some holiday banter and some catching up on some stories as well too that we've been following.
I like this one. You're like, there's a bomb on the beach, so let's see what happened here.
Meanwhile, in Santa Cruz County, the bomb squad had to be called in because of this. Deputies say an old bomb washed up days after heavy surf pounded the coastline. It was covered with debris, but recognizable for its distinctive missile shape. It turned up at Pajaro Dunes on New Year's Eve. Once deemed safe, a team from nearby Travis Air Force Base came to take it away.
Well, that was a nothing. I was hoping it exploded like that whale.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's all that any of the news stations had, was about a 30-second little hit on it with the same images, because I guess they all got the same images probably from the bomb squad. But yeah, that's very, very interesting. Always fun if you're going swimming, right? A little seaweed. That certainly happened to some people, I'm sure. Anyone who's waded into the ocean has been trapped in a little bit of seaweed. You see little clams and other shellfish, little pippies coming up for wee-wees. You don't often see a bomb just washing up on shore.
So somebody in chat is like, hunchback bomb, everybody, hunchback bomb. Humphrey
the hunchback bomb.
Well, they were referencing the Hamburglar Dan clip of the hunchback whale, I think.
Oh, no snap. That's right. I'm sorry. I was digging deep into Bay Area lore with Humphrey the humpback, who swam up the Delta that one year. We were all children.
I do like, some people might be like, oh, what'd they call the bomb squad? To be perfectly honest, one thing Americans actually build really well is ordnance.
Bombs. Yeah.
So
that shit lasts. Yeah. That shit lasts.
So
there's a reason why there's a nonprofit, like a worldwide nonprofit, devoted to cleaning up minefields, right? Because that shit's a real thing, right? Like we've spent so much time blowing each other up over the course of the world wars and other wars that we've got these like just fields of mines that are still active and out there that were once supposed to be keeping folks out. Now it's just blowing random people up like farmers and travelers and whatnot. So watch out for bombs washing up on shore in Santa Cruz. I don't know what they have in Pacifica, but they usually get the whales.
That's got to be like a once every 50 or 100 years thing on any part of the California coast, though, because the surf's got to be pretty fucking strong to pick that up, because that is not a non-heavy item.
One would think so, right? Some confluence of events and currents and whatnot, and weight factors and all that. You're right. That is very, very different. It could be something that was, I'm guessing it was just on ordnance that was on a ship that sank not too far offshore, maybe, or it fell not too far offshore and just got lodged somewhere and then got dislodged suddenly 50, 60 years later. They haven't got into like where it came from or what era or where it might have originated. So we'll follow up on that, but that's leading off.
I don't know if we're gonna hear more about the bomb, honestly.
I can find out, but maybe not from the news. But maybe we can find out from our sources. We have sources on the other side of the hill. Joe, the bouncer at the Catalyst, we'll ask him.
The bouncer at the Catalyst is like, oh, I had to kick that bomb out, actually.
Exactly. He tried to get in here, and that's what happened. He kicked him out. He got drunk, fell off the pier. 60 years later, washed up on shore.
So we're going to go on to winners and losers. There's the segment during which there are no winners, and if anybody did win, it wasn't who you were rooting for. And it seems like COVID is starting to win again.
It's totally here and still here and going to be here, and people aren't taking it seriously. And lo and behold, it comes back every time folks don't take it seriously. But we're going to find out more about what's happening here.
COVID vaccine statistics are out for the South Bay, and they're not good. In fact, Santa Clara County officials say fewer vaccinations are leading to a rise in both holiday COVID cases and hospitalizations. NBC Bay Area Scott Budman spoke to officials and doctors about the numbers and the consequences.
Yeah, we also spoke to people, Garvin, and they're just not getting the latest booster shot. In fact, the numbers, as you said, are down. And doctors say that's especially dangerous as we head into the holidays and into the peak of winter.
Yeah. So
if you hit the street.
Well, that was weird. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's an awkward pause in that. But
as we head into the holidays and
it wasn't editing. It was
of winter.
Yeah. So
it was like he thought he was going to say something, and then like, oh, the producer isn't barking in my ear. I guess we're just rolling the tape. Oopsie.
There's nothing on the teleprompter.
We never make mistakes when we're broadcasting, so
no, never.
If you hit the street in the South Bay and ask if people got the latest COVID booster,
I have not. I meant to.
As soon as it came out.
You'll get mixed results.
Last time I got a booster was the second shot in 2021.
But Santa Clara County says overall, less than 1 out of every 5 of us recently rolled up our sleeves.
Overall, 19%. And what we're particularly concerned about is that certain ethnic groups, our Latinx and our African ancestry, are even lower at 9 and 11% respectively.
Doctors say that means more risk.
Cases are not just high, Scott, they're increasing.
And more crowded hospitals as we head into the winter holidays.
And if we fill up our ICUs, we can't take care of other illnesses that people come in to the hospital with. And that's really going to strain not only bed capacity, but healthcare worker capacity.
So, Scott, does the county know why the vaccination numbers are down right now?
I mean, they're saying that it's been a while. People seem to be over it, Garvin, but they're a little baffled because, all right, we're back to work. We're back to doing things. We're back to going to the movies. But you ask people, even those who say, nah, I'm not really going to get that next booster. They know someone with COVID. They may even know someone with long COVID. And at the same time, doctors are saying, hey, people are starting to fill up the hospitals again. We've heard this one before, right? And so it is a bit of a surprise, and the county is saying, look, it's very easy. I went in not long ago to try to make an appointment, and they said, you don't even have to do that. Just roll your sleeve up right now. We'll take care of it. It is that easy, and I don't know what to say other than doctors are saying the people they're seeing in the hospital are the ones that are not getting the updates.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all know somebody who's had it or had it recently, so It makes a lot of sense. Scott, thank you very much.
Bet.
I definitely slacked off on the 4th shot. I'm not going to lie.
I actually had to check because I finally, as you know, I finally got the big vid a couple months ago. So I actually had to go back and check when my last vaccination was, and I'm in this whatever Kaiser considers to be the safe zone. So I'm not due for a vaccination, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't get the booster when you can and get it on point and on time, just to keep up not just your immunization, right? It's not, again, this isn't necessarily something that immunizes you to the virus itself. You might still get COVID, but what it will help to do is minimize the symptoms, help to smooth things out, and hopefully make it less of a painful experience for you, and hopefully less traumatic and serious of an experience, especially if you're in a vulnerable population like older folks and younger folks with pre-existing conditions. So please, as we always say here on the show in our closing, please get vaxxed. And do wear a mask in crowded public places if you can. It's for your own benefit as well as everyone else's.
And I mean, not for nothing on this, the symptoms are the spread, right? Like if you have a milder case, you're not coughing all over the place. And since it's like airborne, you are far more likely to spread the virus if you are coughing all over the place. So.
Yes, absolutely. And if you're sick, stay home if at all possible.
Right.
Employers are employers. And
Yes.
we understand. But if at all possible, stay home when in doubt. It sucks. It's I'm not gonna lie, it sucked. People did not like me for a couple of weeks. Like nobody, even the baby, I think, was kind of tired of me. So you don't want to get this that bad.
So up next is California Forever, and this is interesting. There's a survey of Solano County residents about the fucking like dystopian Norman Rockwell painting that the fucking tech bros want to put right next to them. I have a feeling the results of the survey are going to be exactly what I think the results of the survey are going to be.
Well, it all depends on who put the survey out, right? So we'll find out more about that in the story.
Well, let's find out.
California Forever, the company that's planning to build a new city in Solano County, released the results of its latest survey exclusively to the ABC 7 News I-Team.
That's right. I-Team reporter Stephanie Sierra spoke with the CEO about the feedback and is here to explain exactly what he had to say, Stephanie.
And he's confident that this city will become a reality. Really? And these surveys show the support and concerns about it from roughly 10,000 people. And while the CEO, Jan Schremek, believes this new city will move forward, a substantial number of people are still undecided.
California Forever's newly released survey is shedding light on what the people of Solano County want to see in a new city. According to the online results, 80% of people supported the idea of new, good-paying local jobs and safe, walkable neighborhoods, as well as protecting the Sassoon Marsh and Delta, whereas 60% of people expressed strong support for renewable energy and the plans to build one of the largest solar farms in California. Residents liked energy-efficient homes with no PG&E bills.
When did you first reach out to Travis Air Force Base?
Immediately after we announced the plans publicly.
Schremek told the I-Team in September he did not notify Travis Air Force Base of his plans beforehand. But this week, he says the survey results give him confidence this new city can draw on the connections to the military base by creating jobs that will support the base and keep people in California. He says there's high demand for new jobs in advanced manufacturing.
And so it's defense, aerospace, advanced manufacturing, these kind of mix of old and new economy jobs that people really want to see here, and we think we can actually bring them.
More than 78% of online respondents want to see major infrastructure improvements made to Highway 12, that's often referred as Blood Alley, as well as upgrades to the local water supply. Schremek says he has enough water rights to support the city from both the aquifer and the Sacramento River, but the Solano County Water Agency disagrees.
A brand new city of up to 100,000 residents, that's a significant amount of water that doesn't currently exist.
The water rights in California, and especially in Solano County, they're already accounted for.
California Forever has hosted a number of recent town halls where residents have voiced many of these concerns, including a simple yet common one. How will this all work?
Will my kids be able to walk to school? What does it mean? Does it mean I can walk to the office?
Schremek says those questions will be answered when the plans are finalized and released in mid-January. In the meantime, he says the survey shows a great deal of excitement among small business owners and young people who are struggling to buy a home. Among online respondents, more than 76% of people say affordable homes and family-friendly parks and recreation areas are most important to them. But some city officials say there's concerns over zoning restrictions.
I think that if zoning were not an issue for them, they would have gone the traditional route of creating a city, which is through LAFCO. But instead, they've hired the most expensive, the most prestigious teams throughout the state, many of them close to big name politicians like Governor Newsom.
But all of this has to make it on the ballot first. And Schremek says the percent of people still undecided?
It's a substantial number.
Now, if that ballot measure passes, Schremek says this new city will be much farther away from Travis Air Force Base than current developments in Sassoon City and Fairfield. And depending on how this all plays out, there could even be a huge green belt that separates this new city from the surrounding cities. About 60% of people supported that in this survey. So all eyes now are on mid-January when we actually can see these plans.
Okay, we'll have to wait and see. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
So the survey was like, are you for good things? And the people were like, yes, we like good things.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. It's all about how you ask the question. It's all about what questions you're asking. And it's about who's paying for the survey, who's putting it out. Fantastic. 80% of people like dogs. That's great. We're going to have dogs there. 74% of people think that housing should be more affordable. Great. We're going to have houses there. You're exact. You're exactly right. Like it's an absolute nothing burger of a survey.
Yeah, it didn't ask anything about like, do you want this California forever development?
Well, you know what? They did ask that question, but what happened was they didn't release the response to that question or release that the specific question itself, right? Like they highlighted all these quality of life things that people said yes to. Yeah, we're going to do that. And yes, these people like all these things we're going to do here, which you could do anywhere, right? Not in some billionaire's paradise, utopian paradise, dystopian paradise. But yeah, they asked mostly that, but they did ask the question. And he said, you saw it at the end, right? He said, they're like, well, how many undecided? A substantial number, right? Like he didn't quote a percentage, right? He didn't get into the details. So they asked the question. They want to know. More than likely, what you see with these polls is when it comes to a political campaign or a candidate, you ask right off the bat, after like, hello, how would you vote on this, right? If this was on your ballot, description of the measure, right? Build this fake city. How would you vote? Yes or no, right? And then they go into, okay, here are some arguments in favor of it, right? Here are some good things people are saying about it. And then how do you agree with that? Do you not agree with that? How does that move you? And then they ask the question again, how would you vote on this thing? And then they give you all the negatives, right? Like, oh, there's the things that people are saying negative about the thing. And then they ask you again, after all, considering all that, how would you vote? So they asked those questions more than likely. But they didn't specify like how people responded, and more likely it's more likely a shit ton of undecided because people just don't know anything about it, right? They have no idea. They can't really forge an opinion, or they haven't heard, right? A lot of people still haven't heard, right? They don't watch the local news or they don't follow this kind of shit. So, and it's more of a rural county, so it's not like news travels super fast. So yeah, it's not surprising there's a ton of undecided. I'm guessing there's a ton of not too happy as well. And I'm guessing they also probably polled like intensity, right? So agree strongly, agree, right? Kind of agree, don't really agree. So I would guess that the people who don't agree are very, very strong, right? Like we are never voting for this. No matter what you say, go the fuck off. And then the folks who are undecided are probably like leaning towards not so excited about it. And if there's anyone who's excited about it, they can't be super excited about it.
I wonder if do you agree with this or are you undecided are the two options that they asked about the fucking development itself.
Well, they could have done that to skew the results and then they would have released numbers. But the fact that he just sort of glazed it over with a substantial number, right? That just leads me to believe that there's a shit like 80% or something is undecided. And he just didn't want to get into the specifics of it, right? Because then it says it pokes holes in their veneer. One thing I just have to reiterate again, this guy, I'm a communications and marketing guy, right? Like I try to make believe it's my living, and I understand. Like I would see through shit if they had, if they had Joe Blow, Midwestern, a good old boy, as the CEO who could just come in with his big smile, right, and his blonde hair, and just no accent at all, just sort of Joe anyone, and just be that ambassador, right? That's what I would do if I was their consultants, right? That's the kind of person I'd be looking for. This is not the kind of person I would be looking for to be our spokesperson, even though I would know better if I was watching from afar and seeing Joe Blow, right? I'd be like, oh, they're just shining it on. This guy's, some fake ass dude they brought in just to be the face of the organization. And it's probably this dude like Jan, right, behind everything. But they're putting Jan out front and center. So they obviously don't give a fuck, right? Like they're so rich and so fucking into themselves and feel so entitled that they're like, we don't give a fuck how we look. That we've got this like neo-Nazi looking dude out here.
Right.
Fronting the organization, right?
This guy looks like he'd be giving a talk at the World Economic Forum or something, right?
Correct, yeah. And oh yes, come into the great showers. They're beautiful. They have their flowers and scented candles. Come into the showers, please. That's what the vibe this guy gives me. So I think they definitely need to think about that a little bit. But maybe they don't give a fuck. Maybe they did think about it. They're probably paying him a ton of money. They probably thought about it and said, we don't give a fuck. This is the guy we want.
And yeah, maybe they think they're just gonna do it anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if they've got friends in high places, if they've got all Gavin's friends working for them, maybe they feel like they've got it in the bag,
But my take on this is that this is like, I don't care how rich they are. This is stupid. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you can't just plop a town out of the sky.
But you can if you. I mean, they think they can, right?
Right, but they've like China has a centralized central control of the entire economy of their country, and they've tried to do this, and it doesn't fucking work in a dictatorship. Like, so how's it going to work in Northern California?
Right. Like, you can do Santana Row, right? You can pop something like that down, but that's not a fully functioning city. Right?
No, that's just
it's a mall outside.
Right? And like. Even like new shopping centers are having trouble. Santana Row did well because it was the right shopping center in the right place at the right time, accessible to like Campbell, Willow Glen, Los Gatos, and right across the street from an existing shopping center that was in the process of being retrofitted for more high-end shopping. And it just all happened to come together at the right time in the right way. But that's different than like, 100,000 people? That's like dropping 3 of Campbell out of the sky.
Yeah, no, at 100,000 people is Sunnyvale, basically. So that's it's just,
and they were
it
like,
doesn't just happen.
They were like, "Are you for
trying to figure out Sunnyvale?
Are you for improvements to Highway 12?" Well, Highway 12 isn't these people. It's the fucking it's the state of California that manages. These people don't manage Highway 12. Like what? Oh, well, are you also for like? You know, are you also for like a better crosswalks in your own community where this place isn't? Like, of course they are, but like,
I don't know about that particular thing, but the highway and that those kind of upgrades, those would typically come with even a smaller scale development, like within a city. You see the city requires you to upgrade the bike lanes, the sidewalks, everything around the street lights, right? The crosswalks, everything around your project, right? So it's one of the benefits to the city of allowing these big swanky projects is that they come in and offer infrastructure improvements as part of getting the entitlements. That would be exactly what would happen here, right? They would say, "Oh, we're going to let you build the city, but you have to upgrade this highway for us, right, to accommodate for all the traffic that you're going to be creating, right?"
But they're going to do everything they can to avoid doing or to do that, like to cheap out on that. I mean,
yeah. At the end of the day, yes, for sure, they'll go through the bare minimum of whatever they have to do, and they'll try through the process to not have to do that too.
Man,
but
it's going to be a while.
If it's something that's going to
go ahead.
If it's something that's going to get them a win at the ballot box, they'll put it in the original agreement. Doesn't mean they have to actually follow through. The Niners had so many things that they pledged to do in their agreement with Santa Clara that they don't really follow through all that well on, and it's led to a lot of hand wringing in recent years. But they got their ballot measure passed, right? They got it built. So these guys will do the same, and then they'll renege or figure out a way to get out of whatever pledges they've made. Because they're billionaires and they think they can get away with it. Just like they can figure they can get away with Jan.
Jan just seems like a guy that would be like one of the people that they would use in a conspiracy video to talk about how the New World Order is coming to take your freedom. Like they picked the wrong dude.
Cooler Hiltz. Cooler. Anyway, we'll have more. Apparently, they're going to be releasing more plans later this month, so we will definitely be. I'm sure this show and many others on Echoplex Media will be tracking this. This has great crossover appeal.
This is going to be a fucking disaster, and I'm here for it.
It'll be on Downballot Watch eventually when they get their ballot measure.
Oh no! Their city council meetings will just be people there like, "Oh, thank you for being the city council," right? Because it's just going to be a city full of sycophants at first.
Well, there'll be enough time too leading up to it that there'll be council elections too, right, in Fairfield, and this that will obviously be a huge freaking issue, right, in Solano County supervisors, right? It'll be an enormous issue. It would be like the number one issue probably in those races. So we'll get to watch some juicy political races shape up too, and like that probably come down on both pro and con, right? The billionaires find their candidates to prop up, right, and then the people's candidates, trying to stop them. It'll be great.
Oh, but it's gonna be like NIMBYs versus Tech Bros. It's gonna be a shit show.
Yeah, exactly. That's the funny thing. We're gonna probably side with the NIMBYs in this particular case, just because they're in the right at the end of the day. Like they're the result that they are seeking is the right result. It's just for the wrong reasons. Anyway.
Oh,
because what they're pledging to do to create a walkable, livable, breathable city that you can live and work in, right? And it's what every major American city is, including San Jose, San Francisco, Oakland, everyone are all striving towards. creating. But you're right, you don't just drop it like carpet, roll it out overnight, right? It takes time, and you have time and pressure, just like creating a pearl and an oyster, right? It takes time. So good luck to them, even if they did get the permission, because you're right, I don't think it would work if you just drop this thing in the middle of nowhere.
Man,
and expect it to work.
I think they've strategically made sure that like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel are not involved.
Well, it's probably a good idea, especially with those two particular folks.
But like this is so crazy. This is like, I can't. The pictures that they used look like they were generated. It was like AI. Could you get me? Have you ever seen AI? Have you seen Brave New? Have you read Brave New World? Could you make me some art about a city of white people based on Brave New World, but that sort of looks like a fucked up Norman Rockwell painting? The AI is
exactly
like, I got you, friend.
That's what I was going to say. ChatGPT, can you please make me a picture of a scene from Brave New World painted by Norman Rockwell? Well, that's exactly what these
or a watercolor, the dystopian watercolor version of Norman Rockwell, and leave out the American flags and just put white people in it.
And there's no suspenders either; those are out of season.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to a city that does exist, and a lot of people in this country are engaged in moral panics around cities, and San Jose proclaims to be a city. And the low homicide rate in San Jose continued in 2023. Let's see what the local news has to say about it. They're probably like unhappy because it makes it harder for them to scare people.
In the South Bay, the final weekend of 2023 also brought word of a new homicide in San Jose. A man was found shot to death on Calle de Guadalupe Saturday evening.
Now, while every homicide is one too many, San Jose says it does have reason for optimism. For the third year in a row, the Bay Area's biggest city boasted one of the lowest homicide rates of any big city in the country. NBC Bay Area's Damian Trujillo looks at the numbers and what may be behind them.
San Jose's homicide rate has remained steady in the low to mid 30s for the last few years, and the department would like to keep it that way, if not decrease it. The police tape is all that remains of the last homicide of the year in San Jose. It happened on Saturday night on Calle de Guadalupe.
And I heard the shot, so I was afraid I'd go back to my place.
Scary?
Yeah, scary, but maybe those guys are just looking for somebody, to shoot maybe, or somewhat like crazy guys. So I go back to my place.
It was San Jose's 36th murder of the year. In 2022, San Jose registered 35 homicides and 31 in 2021.
The statistics speak for themselves. You can't create those numbers, whether they're low or they're high.
Mike Leninger retired from the force after almost 3 decades. He credits the fact that the homicide unit virtually solves every murder for the low homicide rate in a large city of almost 1 million people.
I mean, it's an achievement to be accepted into the homicide unit, but it's certainly a greater honor to know that you're batting 1,000.
By comparison, Oakland finished the year with 126 homicides, 120 in 2020 and 134 in 2010. In San Francisco, city data shows there were 53 homicides last year, 55 in 2022, and 56 in 2021. That's for a city smaller than San Jose.
This is the best of the best.
Any police chief will tell you that one homicide is one too many. For Bismarck de Los Angeles, he'll be glad if he never hears another gunshot again.
Rapid firing, I think 6 shots over there.
In San Jose, Damian Trujillo, NBC Bay Area News.
They had to frame it like why did they had to frame it about like come on, man, like why did they frame it that way?
How so? Frame it how?
Like they framed it within a report of a homicide where they interviewed a guy who was scared.
Right. Yeah.
Like
this just the local news. This is how they always have to have a person on the street kind of angle to something, and it's almost like they almost never, when they do investigative stories, right? It's almost never like a true investigative, like unraveling the yarn or pulling back the layers of the onion, right, and finding something bigger. It's always like some small story that triggered it and is now getting taken been blown way out of proportion, right? And that's kind of what, it's not what's happening here, but that's the way it's played, right? But you're always going to find a very nice, jolly, my wife will tell you, a nice, jolly Filipino who's willing to talk to the news about whatever happened in their neighborhood. We see it on the local news quite a bit, actually. It's probably more than 50% of the person on the street opinions. But yeah, I don't know that why maybe it's just confluence of events that maybe the department released in data, and said, oh, look, we're doing great. The same day that they had their last homicide. But all in all, like you said, it's pushing back on the narrative that we're in some sort of downward spiral. I mean, even if you look at Oakland and San Francisco, it's not like things are spiking or out of the ordinary there either, right? There's a shit ton of murders in Oakland. That's not good, especially because it's also a smaller city than San Jose, and yet has 4 or 5 times the number of homicides. That's a problem, but that's always been a problem in Oakland. And in fact,
but the other thing about Oakland is that it's just like it's not surrounded by Sunnyvale and Mountain View and Campbell, right? So it's surrounded by, like, it's just a different area. I'd be curious to see in Oakland or San Francisco where those people were the assailants' residents, because any given weekend in San Francisco, a good number of the people who are there don't live there. So it's like, really, it's these numbers are kind of they lack context. I also want to see when they show like Bay Area stuff, like at the end they could just go, for some context, here's a major metro area, and here are the crime statistics of the 2 biggest cities in that major metro area, and be like, everybody, just pick one, fucking pick any. The Bay Area is so fucking safe. You could pick almost any other metro area in the fucking country and compare it to the Bay Area, and the Bay Area would look favorable on murder statistics.
I think you're right. Absolutely. And they ask, well, why is that? Well, a lot of reasons, right? Like, we are still very much a more suburban area, right? And there's definitely tons of poverty here, but not as much as you see in Oakland or in parts of San Francisco. And it just natural confluence of things, right? But I do think there's something to be said to solving every homicide. Like, he's right. Like the SJPD I think we covered on Downballot not too long ago, solved every homicide in the city last year. So the fact that you're not going to get away with it would probably lead to less premeditated.
Right. Leads to yeah. And there's not a lot of there's not a lot of organized crime here either.
No. I mean, most of it I'm guessing is frankly domestic when it comes to homicide in San Jose. Absolutely more domestic than anything else. It's not strangers killing strangers. It's people who know each other. It's spouses. It's family members.
And you're never going to get rid of that, right? Like the old saying is, you want to know who's most likely to like kill you. Check your dinner table at night.
Right? Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's, if anything, maybe maybe San Jose is the prime example of the bare minimum, right? Like, that's what you can expect is about 30. What was it? 30?
30 out of a million.
Yeah, 30 in a million people every year. I think that's pretty reasonable, frankly, given the state of humanity right now.
Right. Yeah,
and the diversity in San Jose too. Remember that, like, we don't have. There's some segments and races that are not all that well represented. African Americans, Native Americans, but for the most part, San Jose is a really diverse city. So there's also that to be said, that we're in this, I don't want to say melting pot, but we're certainly brought together in a lot of ways, and you still don't see that being a major cause of it either. Although we're also pretty well segregated in terms of where we live.
Yeah. At least in the middle class. Once you reach the top of the layer cake, you all live in the same neighborhood, but also the top of the layer, it gets complicated.
My neighbors.
Yeah. Then like, who's at the top of the layer cake? How'd they get there? And not for nothing. Like, you think of a place like Emeryville as like a kind of a nice place, and it has like a higher per capita murder rate than San Francisco. And it's like, well, whatever. The Bay Area is if you're ever thinking of moving to the Bay Area, don't listen to people. It is a safe fucking metro area, and it compares favorably to most metro areas in the country when you do violent crime statistics.
and it's a beautiful place to live. So,
Yes.
and less people are getting killed here than they used to be. However, unfortunately, it seems like more animals are getting killed, and that's what the next story is about. So a little bit of sad.
Yeah. Yep. Here we go. And I think. Well, I have some thoughts on how this next story came to be, but let's just let the story roll here.
Roll it.
With the turn of the new year days away, San Jose Animal Care and Services staff, partners, and volunteers hope it brings a new beginning as well. 2023 is recognized across the board as a harrowing year for the shelter, with jarring overcapacity numbers and tragic animal death statistics. Current and former volunteers are concerned about the safety of the animals.
It's just terribly frustrating.
It's sickening. It's so disturbing.
It makes me so sad that animals are suffering, being euthanized, dying in their kennels when it's unneeded.
Their concern is warranted, as a year-end report released by the shelter shows 426 animals died while in shelter care during the last fiscal year, a 5-year high. Compounding this problem was overpopulation in the shelter, some 11,000 animals all year and nearly 950 animals at one time during the peak, which is more than double operating capacity. City of San Jose Director of Public Works Matt Lesh says the overcrowding forced the shelter to only accept mostly sick and injured animals, and that contributed to the high mortality rate.
Really had some really dire cases of animals that were this is their last resort, and we're trying to find that bridge. Some of them we're trying to give a chance, so we're not euthanizing. So our euthanasia numbers were down. Overall, those animals in those critical, challenging states, we had a really positive outcome for many of them.
Current and former volunteers we spoke with tell a different story, highlighting issues with mismanagement regarding the care of the animals and a new rescue policy of focusing more on adoptions than rescues. Town Cat's Board of Directors member Nineveh Parker says only a fraction of the animals in the shelter that need to be rescued are available for partners like her group to take in to help reduce capacity and save lives.
I'm not sure why they decided to move away with rescues, but that model worked really well. And now we're seeing the outcome of what happens when they don't rely on the rescue model.
The shelter is undergoing an audit requested by the city, and the results should be released in the new year. In San Jose, Dustin Dorsey, ABC 7 News.
So my guess here is that during COVID, a lot of people got pets and then decided they didn't want them.
Yes, very much so. I mean, that's certainly what's a major contributing factor right now. And on top of that, some of them didn't get their pets, spayed or neutered and then just let them go, right? Like didn't take them anywhere, just let them go. Like open the door and didn't open it again, right? And now they're out there having more babies and more cats that can't be taken care of and dogs that can't be taken care of. And yeah, you get overcrowding and this is what happens. So PSA, definitely think about adopting, but rescue is just as good. There's plenty of animals out there that need some attention and they're not getting treated all that well, although we could do a whole another story about livestock and
don't get a pet don't get a pet just because you're lonely.
Yes, yeah, that's not, you go on Grindr like producer Dave,
or just whatever. Just don't get a pet because you're lonely. I think that and if you do get a pet, like the councilman was saying, go to the shelter. Don't go to a breeder, because like you're just encouraging the breeders to breed more animals that some number of people are just not going to be able to care for. Or no, it's not even that they're not able to, they're just not going to want to anymore. People like fucking, I think during the pandemic, people just got lonely and then got a pet. And then now the focus isn't on the pandemic and now they're fucking bored with the pet. And that's fucked up.
Yeah, I agree. Don't get one because you're lonely. Get a pet because you have love to give and you want to put it somewhere. That's a good place to put it. Is into another living sentient being who will return that love unapologetically and without any preconceived notions. So, but yeah, definitely don't do it because you need something to hug in bed at night.
So up next we have another San Jose casino. God, I love San Jose casinos and San Jose casino stories.
This is the crimes we get, right? We don't get murders, we get this.
We get casinos.
So let's learn more.
Local news websites famous for their wonderful fucking players
Illegal gambling, guns, and drugs. South Bay police say they've made a major bust at an underground casino and brothel in San Jose. Tonight, 5 people are facing felony charges. They're accused of operating a gambling and prostitution ring out of a commercial property on Autumn Vale Drive. That's off of North Capitol Ave, just blocks from Brooktree Elementary School. During the search, police seized 33 guns and 150,000 rounds of ammunition. They also confiscated 500 pounds of marijuana and $20,000 in cash.
God damn, that's a lot of weed.
That was all piled up in the back behind the guns. And once they mentioned that, I looked back there. I'm like, oh my goodness. One of those bags could just fall off the table, right? No big deal.
If it could fall all the way to Fremont, maybe.
4,999 pounds. I mean, what's the difference?
So that area for a while, there were also kind of a lot of parties, like raves in the warehouses over there off a Trade Zone. Yeah, that area over there, there's like a lot of sort of small and medium sized warehouses. And as especially with COVID, as the businesses in those places fail, I feel like the landlords are going to be a little more loosey goosey with who rents those spaces.
Mm-hmm. No, very much so. And they're looking for, frankly, they're looking for rent out there right now, especially commercial and retail spaces, but commercial spaces and office spaces. Yeah, I think are getting a little desperate. So I'm sure they're willing to cut a deal. Do you want to start a brothel, Chris Dave?
A legitimate podcast studio business, possibly.
Yeah, that would also, I guess, be an option if you want to go that way. I mean,
your idea is more lucrative, but a shorter career path.
True. Well, we could have a combination. We could have a combination podcast studio brothel.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be fun. Anyway,
you could have live interviews with the Johns and Janes and their counterparts. Before and after.
Pretend to be doing a comedy show out of the place. It's be like, this is a podcast studio / brothel, and just pretend it's a comedy. Pretend it's all a bit and see how long you get away with it.
And don't forget the casino too. We have to have the casino.
That sounds like a lot of trouble.
It might be, but you could that's the thing. You can become the CEO and you don't need to manage the brothel and the casino. You hire people to do that and you just keep managing your shows.
You get a couple card counters going through there and they just ruin your business.
Well, then you take them out. You kneecap them. You shoot them in the face. Okay, maybe not.
So we're going to move on up to Oakland, California, where the search for the police chief rages on.
Can't see him.
Story at 5:30. As the Bay Area heads into a new year, the city of Oakland appears to be back at square one in its months-long search for a new police chief. Last night, we learned the mayor rejected the current list of 3 candidates, a list that included a candidate under investigation in another Bay Area city, and the former Oakland police chief himself, LaRon Armstrong. The city's mayor, you remember, fired Armstrong nearly a year ago, which then triggered this search for a replacement. A lot to take in. NBC Bay Area's Valina Jones lays it out for us.
11 months into the search for Oakland's next top cop, the ongoing hunt is worrying those looking for law enforcement leadership in one of the biggest cities in the Bay.
Actually, it's devastating because we've been waiting all year for a police chief and promised a police chief by the end of the year, and we don't have one. It doesn't seem we're going to get one anytime soon.
Bishop Bob Jackson is a prominent local NAACP member and a leader at Axville Gospel Church. His latest disappointment comes after Mayor Sheng Tao rejected the current list of 3 candidates the city's police commission recommended for the job, including Oakland's former police chief, LaRon Armstrong.
And LaRon Armstrong is the best candidate that you can find, and we just feel that that's across the board. However, the commission has a job to do. The mayor has a job to do. And our thing is, in the meantime, the only people that seem to be suffering are the voters.
The police commission now has to decide whether to reopen the search to new candidates or revisit the longer list they've already considered. Just to get to this point, the commission went through a 6-week recruitment period before submitting their final 3 recommendations. Now the commission will meet tonight to discuss a new timeline and next steps as they go back to the drawing board. Some community groups say the blame falls on the mayor.
She promised that they would have solutions for the new police chief by the end of the year, and if not, she would declare a state of emergency. We're calling her out here today.
That sign behind him sure is something.
A group pushing for the recall of Alameda County DA Pamela Price and the resignation of Mayor Tao held a rally outside a recently burglarized Albany CVS. They say Tao's lack of leadership is not only leading to a spike in crime in Oakland, but in neighboring cities.
It's like cancer, and it's...
Did they not see the report?
Because they're not doing their job effectively in Oakland.
The mayor's office says she has no plans to declare a state of emergency since the first list of names was submitted by her end-of-year deadline. We asked them how long they expect the new search will take. They wouldn't give a date, but released a statement saying Mayor Tao is working with the police commission to expedite the process, and that, quote, she would like to review more candidates in order to make a well-informed decision on the best police chief for Oakland. In Oakland, Felina Jones, NBC Bay Area News.
So like right there, that guy going crime, they were saying, oh, they say crime is spiking. Well, what the fuck is the job of the news except for them to go, no, it's not.
Right. To actually look into the numbers and to look at the report they just issued that we covered earlier on this show and say, hey, wait, hold on a second. That's not true. No, it's not. But it's their job to do that. They don't do that, though. That's the thing that aggravates the living crap out of me when it comes to local news is that they don't. Like they don't, there's no connection made, right? There's no through line drawn. It's just each story lives in its own little independent world. And yeah, they may follow up on them and follow up on the thread and follow the story down a thread, but their threads are completely independent and they don't seem to cross and they don't seem to, I'm sure they understand the connection, but again, like you said, it doesn't fit their narrative, the narrative that gets them more viewers, they think, by just showing all the trying to scare people basically and to inflame these kind of attitudes that we have of folks wanting to recall DAs and mayors because they don't, they of their personal perception of how things are going, right? And those folks are being inflamed and riled up by political opportunists. And it's just sad.
Also, like they mentioned that one of the other candidates was removed from another police department for like misconduct. They didn't tell us who it was or what it was about. They didn't give us any of that. Yeah. That I feel like that's sort of should be part of the this person was obviously rejected because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, that was one of my first questions when I saw the story was why did the police commission recommend this guy who's under investigation at the department he's at now? Like how in the world did that pass muster, right? If you're going through if you or I went through a job interview process, right? And, they asked, tell me about your recent job experiences. I am under investigation at my current job. I'm sorry. Why are you looking for a new job? Or why do you want to be hired here? Well, I'm under investigation at my current job. So I figure it's not really the best place for me. I'm trying to find some new experiences and I figure a new atmosphere will be really good for me. But just imagine that. So that's pretty much what they said there. I don't know how the commission decided that was a good candidate and how they can be upset with the mayor for rejecting that person. She fired the old chief, so I don't know what if they thought that he had any chance of getting her approval since she fired him. And then the third was a white dude, and who wants a white dude to be the chief of police in Oakland? That's just a bad look. So I don't know what that white dude was all about.
So basically, this was only about the rejection of one candidate, right? Not 3, because the one she already fired. Sure, she's going to reject that person. She fired them. Whether she did the right thing or the wrong thing by firing him, she's going to reject him. The other one, she's like, ooh, let's see what happens with this other thing first here, and then now that you got one.
Yeah, I would even venture to say, I don't know much about the Oakland Police Commission, but if they're very politicized, I mean, I could totally see this as being just they deliberately gave her this list because they knew she would reject all of them. And they feel it creates a good angle for them in a story it's her fault, right? Like she's rejecting, she's the big, bad, mean mayor lady right? So it could be that they sent this list to her knowing she would reject them all. Because I would have, frankly, like I don't know.
Well, it depends if the third one was you know what I mean? It just depends who the only, like, you would have rejected the two because you just fired one and the other one's got some problems.
I don't know. I'm guessing the third one had some fleas too. So
right. But I'm just saying, like, you would have certainly rejected the two because you're the mayor. You just fired one of them. The other one, at least let the fucking investigation in the other place play out.
Yeah.
And then now you got one candidate that's really being, What
I can't argue with the other, but yeah, we'll see what happens. So maybe she'll get another list, and maybe there will be a police chief in Oakland soon. Maybe there won't. Anyone want the job? You want the job?
No.
We can start a brothel, and you can be the police chief. That would be the best of both worlds.
No. So we're going to move on to Down Ballot Watch, where the stories are, I mean, this is a political show, but these stories are about local politicians and city council and sometimes a rapper. Oh, wait a minute. We didn't even do Get Your Shit Together. Everybody.
I was about to say, we did have a Get Your Shit Together this week. So this is a quick one. It's a shout out to the SFPD, and looks like they're going to face some repercussions potentially for their handling of the Dolores Hill bomb this past year, which we covered on Down Ballot.
Yeah, well, hopefully, because the Dolores Hill bomb is like a fairly wholesome community event. So let's see what's going on here.
Let's see what's happening.
Overreaction by the police or the justified response to an unruly and out of control crowd? That is
the former.
Central issue in a lawsuit that's filed against the city of San Francisco and the police department. Children and their parents are suing over the response to July's Dolores Hill bomb. Our Kelsey Thord is in San Francisco with details on that lawsuit.
The four plaintiffs in this lawsuit were among the 100+ people who were arrested during that Hill bomb here in Dolores Park. Actually, a majority of the people arrested that day were children. And according to this lawsuit, many of those children weren't even participants in this unsanctioned event.
You want to believe that the police are there to protect our community, and I want my kids to believe that. But when things like this happen, it's a hard thing to talk to your kids about.
Naomi Lopez's 15-year-old daughter, Carmen, was one of the dozens of minors arrested the night of July 8th as police attempted to shut down the annual unsanctioned skateboarding event known as the Dolores Hill Bomb.
We didn't believe it at first. It seemed totally incredulous that how could this be happening? And it was.
Naomi says Carmen was simply watching the event with some friends when they were surrounded by police. Naomi immediately came to the area to get her daughter, but says police wouldn't let her near her.
And we could just see that she and her friends and the other kids, they were young kids, and they were terrified, they were cold.
Naomi says her daughter was detained for hours, her mugshot and fingerprints taken. No charges were ever filed, but Naomi says the experience was traumatizing for their entire family. That's why they decided to sign on to a federal civil rights class action lawsuit, suing the city, the police chief, and several other police personnel for what happened that night.
The police purported to be concerned about the safety of the skateboard event, but it was the police that endangered these youth.
The police chief told us at the time his officers warned the crowd for 90 minutes to leave and only put on the riot gear when fireworks and fists started being thrown their way.
What is excessive about an officer, number one, putting on safety protective equipment when they have an explosive thrown at them, bottles thrown at them, getting punched in the face, spat on?
Naomi told me she was initially nervous to sign on to the lawsuit, but she believes the city needs to be held accountable for its actions.
It was wrong. It was a wrong use of city resources. It was a wrong use of police resources.
We reached out to the city attorney's office for comment. They told us that they will review this complaint and respond in court once they are served the lawsuit.
Kelsey, thank you.
So this event has been going on for a very long fucking time, and there has never been problems at this event.
Right. Until the cops decided to make a problem.
There was like, they're just riding bikes and skateboards down a hill. Like that's, Like this is the functional equivalent of San Jose Bike Party, right?
100%. And yeah, I just don't understand. Yes, there's just probably a safety angle, but the response that they received, right, the riot police kind of angle is really shocking to me. And I'd love to hear more about the fireworks and explosive devices and fisticuffs that were thrown their way by that teenage girl. I wonder. I'd love to see the fisticuff she was able to fling at those riot gear wearing police. Just overreaction as usual. I'm actually familiar with some of the attorneys that were quoted in there, so they have good representation. So hopefully they'll get something out of this, at least some sort of. What they won't get is an admission of guilt. I can guarantee you that much. So most of these settlements just end with like money and exchanging hands and an admission of nothing more than just, we don't want to go to court because we know we'll lose. But they won't admit guilt. They won't say that we were wrong to do this.
This is an event that the city just needs to permit. That's what they need to do. They need to issue a permit.
That would be cool.
They need to get, I don't know how to, it'd be a couple-year process to probably get like some kind of nonprofit involved or whatever to raise some money for it. But the city needs to permit this event because it happens every fucking year. Nothing, again, this is the first time I've ever heard of anything, I'm sure, okay, you're bombing a hill on, sure, people run into each other. Sure, there's probably some minor injuries or whatever at the event. Sure, whatever. But like, I've never heard anything about fights.
Bombs are dangerous, Producer Dave. Bombs are very dangerous, as we found out earlier.
I've never heard anything about any of this with this event. Yeah. And I've personally been to this event. It was like, there's like families out there.
You could make money off it. The city could make money off it. There could be revenue here. You could have vendors. You could have a whole festival around it. Like, I don't understand.
But this is literally like the San Jose police coming in and busting heads at San Jose Bike Party. It's the functional equivalent of that.
And you know what else? You could make it safe. You can make it safer. If you're really worried about safety, if you sanction it, if you permit it, you can make it safe. It's not that difficult to comprehend, right? But these events, frankly, like, I never heard, regardless of whatever safety concerns there are, the first time I was not familiar with this event until this happened. So nothing bad had really ever popped off in the past at this event because I hadn't heard about it. I'm not in the scene. So if anything, it says that they police themselves pretty fucking well. So why bother?
I bet we could find positive media coverage of the event from the past if we looked.
I would bet you we could. Yeah. Because I don't remember hearing thing one about it. And if you don't hear about these kind of things, usually it's a good thing because when you hear about it, something bad happened, right? The only bad thing I heard happening was the police overreacted.
Well, I don't even think like what happens at this event, because I was there from sort of near the beginning to the end. The event happens, everybody leaves. That's it. Some people end up going to Dolores Park and smoking weed after the event, but like, come on, people are smoking weed in Dolores Park 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Well, and like we've talked about with sideshows before too, right? We've talked about that a bit here on Downballot. And do I think sideshows are fun and a great way to spend your time? No, I think it's a waste of your time, and people should find other things to do. But at the end of the day, you don't hear every night on the news like someone died at a sideshow, even though that looks like pretty dangerous shit, right? So
the physics of a sideshow are dramatically different than riding your skateboard down a hill.
True,
too.
Very true. But just again, they seem to know what they're doing. So why are we fucking with them, right?
Or I mean, for something like that, if people want to drift, like again, there's like empty parking lots. There's like ways to do it. I am. The sideshow thing, it is dramatically different, primarily because these are 3,000-pound vehicles and the people are very close to the, the people are close to the skateboarder, but that's like a 110-pound kid on a skateboard, right? If they run into you, it's gonna hurt. You might get injured, but you're not going to get dragged under their fucking skateboard. You know what I'm saying? Like the risk is just so much lower. And the physics of it are just dramatically different.
Yeah, no, I don't have any argument there at all, and wasn't trying to imply that either. But speaking of overreacting, as we head down ballot, it looks like Mayor Breed might be overreacting to a local rapper who had some not nice things to say about her. Maybe she knew what we were saying about her on this show. She might.
I think she should have. I think she should have done her own diss track. Let's see what's going on here.
Maybe she will.
Well, new at 5, a curious twist in San Francisco. A local rapper and restaurant owner has now apologized for a video that criticized Mayor London Breed. Tonight, some are asking why the rapper is apologizing at all, while others, including the head of the San Francisco NAACP, are questioning if the apology was even truthful. Here's NBC Bay Area's Sergio Quintana.
At the Third Baptist Church in San Francisco, lead pastor and head of the city's chapter of the NAACP, Reverend Amos Brown, didn't mince words about his feelings regarding Chino Yang's apology, which was posted to Instagram yesterday.
Went to the media and told the untruth that he had been threatened by some higher powers who had influenced all the way to the state and to the nation.
Here's a portion of Yang's apology.
I had no idea this extremely powerful individual has so much emotional attachment to London Breed. So, with that being said, I'm sorry for my ignorance. I'm sorry for my foolishness.
This is the video that didn't sit well for Reverend Brown and others who spoke at the news conference today. In the 3-minute, 30-second rap, Yang references the mayor twice. In one part, he flips her the bird, then specifically names her in another.
Now, Lana Breed, you ain't nothing but a clown. When we really needed you, you would never be around.
In much of the video, Yang voices frustration about having his business broken into 7 times since 2020 and decries the rise in crime and drug use in the city streets. At today's news conference, a stream of black pastors, community leaders, and Latino and Asian allies echoed Reverend Brown's concerns. Some said they had also reached out to Yang about the video.
I just told him, I said, hey, brother, I seen it. I said, hey, I said, check this out, homie. I don't like the way you talking about our mayor. You need to cut it out. And that's all I said to him.
I reached out to the mayor's office and to the re-election campaign for Mayor London Breed. Both say they have no comment on the video and had no coordination with today's news conference here. In a short exchange with Yang by text, he told me he's currently away at a secluded retreat, recovering from a heart attack, and was not immediately available for comment. Some have defended Yang, saying his criticism is valid and he doesn't know anyone an apology. Community leader Leanna Louie was at today's news event and questions if this all had to play out this way.
I don't think this is necessary. I think they could have just, asked him to go out to dinner or go to his place, go to his restaurant and maybe share a meal together.
In San Francisco, Sergio Quintana, NBC Bay Area News.
I mean, my problem was with his flows. London Breed, you ain't nothing but a clown. Get the fuck out. Take that shit out of here. Listen.
Oh, that was all I really had to say, honestly, was this guy needs to get better at rapping before I learned to care about this.
But a fucking rapper doesn't like the mayor. Oh, yeah, shit.
Right? Oh my God. A restaurateur / rapper, right? It seems like rapping is kind of his side hustle anyway. I don't know who this person is. It does not seem like he's getting the hits on the TikToks or whatever the kids do these days to listen to music. Like you said, his flows are not good. And it sounds like he made his beats on a Casio keyboard from 1987.
Yeah, the beat wasn't that hot, but the flow was pretty bad. And the idea that awful. I'm just the bigger picture here is that that aside, the bigger picture here is just the idea that a local music artist wouldn't criticize the local government and that you're offended that a musician is criticizing you know what I'm saying? That's like getting mad if the fucking Roughies said something about the fucking Mayor Ed 209 or something in one of their songs. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
And the thing is, Mayor Ed 209 would get offended. They react exactly the same way.
He'd be like, what do you mean I'm punk rock? I'm punk rock.
He would get his purple underpants in a bunch about this. So,
but after hearing that, London Breed should do a diss track response because I feel like her flows might be better than that guy's.
And she could probably find a DJ. You should throw her track. Do you have any tracks that would work? Do you do any?
No, I'm not the rap. But Chip's a hip hop DJ. Chip.
Oh, that's true. We can get Chip will do it.
But but Chip won't do that shit either. He probably don't like London Breed.
No, that's true.
What I'm saying here is that I don't understand why all these people this is one of the things that music does.
Mm-hmm. What it's supposed to do is what musicians and artists are supposed to do is to reflect and criticize, and in a good way, not criticize necessarily in a bad way too, but and just be a critique, post a critique.
when I saw
society.
that people were like offended, I thought that he like maybe said something racist or something, but he just called her a clown. Like, get the fuck out of here.
There's certainly, I think it's trope adjacent, right? Like that kind of language, like the phrase, the word clown itself, right? And the fact that Mayor Breed is black. There's certainly some connections there to old tropes, but at the same time, like, again, is this really the thing, right? There's so many more people criticizing her that are more important than this guy. With good reason. And like this show, where are they coming after us? When are they going to come after us, producer Dave?
I can't believe what I just saw. First of all, like the rap was bad. Like now people know about this guy's rap, which really, that's the real tragedy here, is that now people heard that shit on the news.
He's going to get downloads now. Now he's going to get downloads. Do you want to? Can we do a diss track? Can we do a diss track about this whole situation, you and me?
No, I mean maybe. No. I don't know.
I got good flow.
Well, we know a couple rappers.
I have heavy flow, but it's only because I take lots of laxatives. So.
that was the most down-ballot-y story of the night. I thought maybe the California Forever. That's the most down-ballot-y story of the night, and so far of the year.
Ever, yeah. I'm trying to think of another word that rhymes with laxative. I'll come back with it in a second. But anyway, let's move on to the next piece of down ballot, and then we can.
So, former mayor of Campbell, Evan Lowe, proposes that California require gender neutral toy sections. Let's see what's going on here.
Most toy stores have the pink girls section and the blue boys section. Now, a new California law going into effect at the start of the year will require large retail stores with 500 or more employees statewide to have a gender-neutral section for toys.
We're not affected by the law, but I say, yay! It's not called woke, it's called American freedom.
Helen Dean is the longtime owner of Toy Safari Toy Store in Alameda. She is cheering on the move. Much of her store already has a mix of toys for boys and girls, side by side in every aisle. Even the Lego Friends collection, specifically marketed for girls and not fully compatible with other Legos. She says many years ago, Barbie toys like this were geared towards all kids. Now the packaging is straight pink.
If you look at the packaging, you can see an evolution going from kids playing with toys to, hey, we're going to sell this to a little girl. And this is what she's going to want, because we know
the way we are feeding their minds and the materials we're choosing to use, it is narrowing their ideas and the ability to really negotiate the world for them.
But this new law does not take away a boys or girls section. It only adds the gender neutral section, putting similar products that had been marketed for girls or boys side by side in an aisle, along with toys that could appeal to everyone. Here's something that you might find in a gender-neutral section. A Kalou doll made in France could be for a girl or a boy. But those with the California Family Council say enough is enough. They believe Sacramento needs to start focusing more on things that matter and less on toys.
It's a little crazy that Sacramento seems so intent on breaking down the distinctions and differences between men and women, between boys and girls. It's not enough that we are having gender-neutral bathrooms. We're even trying to extend that to the toy section.
If the law is violated, a store could first be handed a $250 fine, then a $500 fine for a second offense. J.R. Stone, ABC 7 News.
So I'm of two minds here. I mean, this is fine, like whatever. Well, but it's gonna fuel the fire of people like the American family guy, right?
Family.
Because like
families first.
I haven't been to the toy section in a store recently, but I have a feeling that most of the fucking stores already like they don't really do this.
No, they don't. And it's everything toy sections. Every single section of retail stores, you go to like the big ones, Target. I'm trying to think of other big retailers that are left. Kohl's, these kind of places. Everything is geared towards, standard conceptions of gender, right? Just man, woman, that's it. everything is geared that way. There's like nods to like, plus size people, right, are beautiful, right, things like that. But that's as far as they go, as far as getting out of like the comfort zone of like, you are pink and you are blue, and that's it. And I think we've always kind of forced kids into these tropes and these stereotypes and these sort of idioms. I do remember when I was growing up that I wasn't so much forced to blue or pink or whatever. I think my favorite color was red, frankly, because I liked red. I liked fire trucks. So I don't know that it was worse or better when we were kids, frankly, but I do know that those narrow preconceptions were always there, right? Like I certainly remember being not so much forced into it, but just sort of surrounded by, preconceptions and memes and themes that, are more societal than anything else.
Somebody in the chat had a good idea. If you want to comply with this, just take down the signs.
Yeah,
to be like toys.
Exactly. Because and then it really is geared that way, right? Everything is sort of geared around that still.
And shout out to the completely disorganized toy store they showed in the fucking thing. It's like, lady's like, I have no idea where anything is actually.
And apparently, like France is where they're making all the gender neutral toys. So, but also Family Action Council or whatever, like the argument does not hold water to me. Like, well, government should spend more time worrying about this, that, and the other thing, and not our toy sections. It's like, well, you're wasting your time. Like, is this really bugging you that much? Right? It's not like they're eliminating the girls and the boys sections. You can still go to your little boys section. You can go to your girls section. Does it really bother you that there's an aisle in the middle, right? That you might have to explain to your kid one day what that aisle is all about, right?
Or not, really because the aisle contains like a ball.
Yeah, like, but that's really, but you're that upset, like you're wasting your time, right? Why are you wasting your time about this? Or don't you have bigger things to do?
Contains like a Rock'em Sock'em Robots, like a little toy badminton set for children. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, he didn't get interviewed, but kudos to Evan Lowe. He was the principal author on this bill that got signed by the governor and is now, as of yesterday, effective in California. So watch out.
Watch out! Watch out! There's going to be an aisle of toys. I think
at Costco.
I think that yeah, I don't know. I often wonder sometimes too if like the state of California every once in a while is just like, well, let's see if we can fuck with these people a little bit.
Well, that again, the legislature right now is more than 2/3 Democrat, and they can do pretty much whatever they want with that kind of a majority. And the governor is running for president, remember? So he's gonna try and do everything he can to be on that. He's certainly thrown himself in with LGBTQ plus community right from day one in San Francisco. So it's certainly his completely within his idiom and his narrative. So yeah, I think you'll see a lot more of this. It could be trolling.
I can't wait to see the Tucker clip on this. Honestly,
I'm sure.
Well, I'm already taking away your toys.
I get political email, I run political email campaigns for candidates, and you see all the responses that they get from all the wackadoos. And yeah, this thing comes up all the time. Like, oh, you're running for office. What do you think about degenderizing our toys and ruining the future of humanity?
All right. Well, we got another thing, and I'm going to ask, have you ever done this? Have you ever done, or maybe not for New Year's Day, but have you ever jumped into a cold ass ocean just like in the winter?
I've thought about it. It's something I think I would enjoy, but I haven't done it yet. No.
Well, here we go. This is the 9th annual. This is only the 9th annual. They've only done this 9 years.
This particular one, I think.
Okay,
it's certainly something been going on since beginning of time, I'm sure.
Or maybe it's been like sanctioned for 9 years, and they've been the community has maybe informally done it for longer than that.
They got a permit, so
they got a permit so the cops didn't jump out into the water and whoop that ass.
Well, some of these swimsuits, I don't know. It's kind of a crime. Anyway, go ahead.
And hundreds of swimmers also welcomed in the new year at the annual Polar Plunge. This was the event's 9th year, bringing crowds ready to wash away the last year and get refreshed for the next one. The plungers out there today say those chilly ocean waters did not get in the way of the New Year's excitement.
It was awesome! Incredible.
It was awesome. Amazing. We loved it. First time doing it, yeah.
Would you do it again?
Yes! Every year.
Really cold, but not prohibitive. It's like Tahoe cold. Yeah, it's cold, but it's not crazy.
Tahoe.
Like Tahoe cold.
Good. Well, many of the swimmers also say the polar plunge has become a much anticipated tradition for their families.
That's cool. That's
Good on
cool.
them. That's fun. We should do it sometime.
Oh, hell no.
We can do an Alviso.
Hell no.
The Alviso, no?
Oh,
Alviso
definitely not an
polar dip?
Alviso.
Off the yacht club?
Oh, hell no. I am afraid to, like, in the summer, I don't like going in the ocean in Santa Cruz. I like warm water like San Diego or Hawaii, Mexico.
Hawaii. Yeah, exactly. Like that lukewarm kind of feels like someone peed in it.
No, not yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't describe it that way, but you go right ahead and do that if you must.
I will.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. It's not that it's bad. It's just that I'm a coward is the thing we're looking for here.
The word we are searching for.
I was at first searched for another word, but I was like, maybe that's not the word to use. I'll use the word coward.
Yeah, I actually run cold, so it would be right in line with my blood type, frankly. So I think I'd enjoy it. It would be more my kind of thing. It's the hot yoga, saunas. These things have never really appealed to me. Steam baths. It's just too hot. Like I feel like I'm going to be sweating while I'm getting clean. That just doesn't make any sense.
So I like cold air and warm water.
That's interesting. Okay. Like cold air blowing on you while you're in warm water?
No. But in the summer, like not this past summer, but the summer before, I absolutely, like, because that house got so hot, I absolutely just jumped in the shower when the water immediately came on. Like, you gotta cool off somehow.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely a fan of cool everything, except for coffee. I really like coffee hot, which is why, as you can see.
Well, yes, not hot enough to burn yourself, but.
Well, I almost did earlier, so I had to be careful. I forget that when you pour it into one of these things and you seal it, it maintains the heat. So if your shit was boiling when you put it in there, it's going to be boiling in a couple minutes. So watch out, kids.
Well, how do you feel about reading out the first Down Ballot and the first podcast on Echoplex Media of the year?
The biggest year of our lives, 2024. I have no problem with that at all. And I thank you, sir, Producer Dave, for running the dials as always tonight for us. Please, listener, viewer, stay tuned for the public comment coming up next, and please tune in every week at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesdays, except when we're not there, like the last 2 weeks, for Down Ballot Live, and obviously download it from your podcatcher of choice and listen to it later, and make us more than the 9th best local news podcast in California. I advise you all to get vaccinated. I advise you all to wear a mask in public places. If you want to wear pants, that's entirely up to you. This is Audible Smoke. I hope you have a great week. Peace out.
Time to get the party started. Pick up my phone just to check and see who's calling. Dress up real nice for the ladies at the bar, and I'm driving in my car just to get to where they are. Here at the local scene is where I plant my feet. It's where I smoke my cigarette and I hold my drink. I look at all my friends, they're all blazing greens. Here at the front of the stage, waiting for MTV. Where are those guys who's standing next to me with a pipe in his hand, ready to blaze for me? About 5 minutes later, we're all singing Queen. Now get the fuck up on stage, man, rock the scene, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. I turn and head back to the bar for a refill, man, because you know where we are. We're headed out to the car to smoke another one and another one. Now just when the magic starts kicking in, I hear relapse playing, you know it's time to head in. Alright. Alright everybody, now it's time to grab a new drink. Spark it if you got it and then pass it to me. Yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. Last up on the bill for the show tonight is Down and Dirty at 5, so we're headed outside to spark up another joint. Now who's got my lighter? Stoner E, of course, shouldn't you be inside?
I'm all up in this bitch, being who I gotta be. I'm fucked up like the U.S. economy. The truth is that I don't think logically. Stoner E take you on a psychedelic odyssey. Now inside motherfuckers is rocking me, and outside shit we smoke a lot of broccoli. Rocky the roller, yo, that sexy girl be jocking me. Ain't too drunk to fuck, but I'll probably do it sloppily.
We do what we wanna do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy the band, enjoy the band. We do what we wanna do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band.
Molly say that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Well, Bob Marley said that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yeah,
we do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we wanna do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we wanna do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just sit back and enjoy the band. So sit back, just sit back and enjoy the band. We just do what we want.